오. 뭐야? 오.
Hey, hold on there. I gotta sign you in. Don't think I've seen you around. That means you must be new to Stellar Bay. You are new here, right?
3번.
I knew it. See, I made what you'd call a logical deduction. You must have seen those UDL gunships on your way in. There's only 3 of them these days. Still, they tend to scare folk off.
왜 있는 거야?
You may not have heard, you being new, but Stellar Bay hardly ever gets off-road traffic. Us being cut off by the board and all. Which means I never get to do this part, but I've been practicing, so here goes. On behalf of Monarch Stellar Industries, welcome to Stellar Bay, home of the freshest sal tuna and halcyon. Please state your name for the records.
갈대.
Swell. There's one for the logs. I'm even gonna give you your own entry code. I'm not supposed to do that. It's against procedure, but Mr. Sanjar isn't so strict about the rules here. Besides, I got a lot of empty entries to fill.
그렇게 고립된겨?
We don't get ship traffic in town. Only off-worlders who do make it out here are sublight. They got a base in Fallbrook. And thank the stars for them, or we would have run out of Rizzo's Purple Berry Crunch years ago.
2번.
Oh, that'll just make Mr. Sanjar's day if you tell him. The board makes up lots of nasty stories about raptidons and cannibals and whatnot. But that's all outside our walls.
Did he just say raptidons and cannibals? I can't wait.
3번.
Oh, sure. It makes Stellar Bay sound like a rotten place, but it's not so bad. Get a good breeze going, and the sulfur smell mostly covers up the fishy smell.
Ah, the nostalgic stench of home. Can't say I miss the day-to-day of living in Edgewater.
Anyway, Mr. Sanjar's got lots to say on that subject. Kinda goes over my head, though.
오케이.
Mr. Sanjar will be mighty pleased to meet you. If you see him over at headquarters, maybe you could tell him I did a bang-up job of welcoming you? Oh, and if you're headed that way, maybe you could do me a favor?
뭔데?
I got this Rizzo's Rangers tossball poster coming in on the next sublight shipment, signed by the Black Hole himself. Only I haven't heard anything in a while. You think you could check with Celia to see if it's come in?
블랙홀이 누군데?
Boss, come on. Black Hole Birdie, the Hole Meister, the Hack Attack.
아이
That's
스포츠관.
Bertie Holcomb. Only one of the greatest tossball hackers ever. Everyone's heard of him, even on Monarch. We still get some of the games. You've been living in a sulfur pit or something?
왜 블랙홀이라고?
On account of him being the best hacker who ever played? Nothing gets by him. He sucks up every ball that comes his way. Well, Holcomb's had a lot of nicknames over his career. Used to be the tallywhacker on account of what he'd do to the score. Before that, he was the slick stick, because his shots were always so smooth.
꾸며내고
I
있군.
swear I'm not. At the start of his career, people called him the hack boss, but no one thought that was very catchy. I couldn't really say, I'm just a fan of the game. But the fancy collector types say the more people see these things, the less valuable they are. And I figure my poster's been passed around by more than a few people by now. Thanks a bunch. Celia...
What are the chances of all the times and places we could have been born?
Yeah.
We're here, light years from Earth, going about our lives.
Every time the punch clock peals, a worker earns his meals.
What are you talking about?
Sorry, I thought you were quoting It's a Wonderful Directorate.
오케이.
And the little bastard's slippery, right? On account of its blood, so it's sliding. All over the place, trying to crawl away. Getting so I can't tell the blood from the mud. But I gotta get in there, get right in that baby rap's stomach and dig it out. If so much as a drop of stomach acid got on that medallion, Shit, I don't know what I'd do. Might be I'd hunt every damn rapt out there. Right. What are you staring? Wait. You ain't from around here. Who are you?
3번.
If you think this is drunk, I gotta... you need to get out more. Sit. Partake. Buy me a drink and let's chat.
1번.
Outstanding! What are you doing in Stellar Bay, stranger?
1번.
Well. Let's get down to brass nuts then, shall we? Wait, that ain't it. Brass rats? Let's talk business. I'm headed back out there after I sober up. You want a guide sooner than that? You have to get me something to clear my head.
아이, 심부름,
Outstanding! Our dispensary here maintains a stock of, well, I don't rightly know what they are. Steroid or caffeine somethings? Pills. They're very good. I'm cut off for the month, on account of needing one just about every damn day. But I'm sure you've got your wily ways. Fetch me one and we'll be all set.
못 얻으면.
That's quitter talk. You want me shooting straight? Give me my meds.
아이고, 자식.
Well. Isn't often we see new folk in Stellar Bay. First drink's on me, stranger. Enjoy. If you plan on sitting through Nyoka's stories, you might could use a few.
I could use a few and telling them myself.
Now what can I do for you?
요트 클럽?
Thought it had a fancy ring to it. Name's the first advertising anyone sees, after all.
1번.
Nope. But a man can dream. Anyone who spends any amount of time in this bar is bound to get to know Nyoka. On account of her being here so often herself. And I don't mean that unkindly. Anyone who's rid us of as many beasts as you have is entitled to a few drinks. Something else I can do for you? Not since Amber Heights. These days we have more leaving than coming. Off to join the Iconoclasts or some such. Bunch of marauders broke into the executive compound, slaughtered everyone. Corporations pulled out of Monarch not long
여기도
after.
약탈자가 있네.
I thought everyone knew. But then that was 10 years ago. Still feels fresh to us every time we look at our walls, though.
Talk to Caleb. He speaks for all of us.
뭐야 이거?
New face, huh? You from off-world?
1번.
A ship captain? Well, I'll be. Here, let me buy you a drink. Consider it an MSI welcome. Why don't you grab a chair, sit a spell and revel with us?
뭘 저축하는 거야?
Me and my friends have taken our destiny into our own hands. We're untethered, free of responsibility and worldly cares. Well, as long as we don't run out of bits. But until the windfall's gone, we're riding high. See, we just walked out on our work. Had enough, we did. So now we're striking.
무슨 이유로?
It ain't any one thing but the sum of it all, having to work longer shifts for less bits. And the wages we do earn don't cover as much as they used to. Our supervisor Velma goes on and on about quarterly profits and meeting quotas. But that ain't what Sanjar promised us. Velma refuses to negotiate, so we're refusing to work. We won't go back until she agrees to pay us fair and proper. Us on Monarch. We're free from the board, you know? We have the right to lobby for better hours and pay. It's been days, but Velma won't even hear us out. Maybe you could just make her listen to our demands.
등재해볼게.
You would do that? We sure are lucky you decided to come up to the patio today. I knew drinking up here would be good for more than the view.
얼마에?
Sure thing. What did you want to discuss? Not forever, but we've each saved up our bits, and I stashed them safe in my home by the diner. I reckon we could last a week or two at least. If I knew that, I'd have tried it. Talking reasonably got me nowhere. Maybe you'll fare better. The others wanted to blackmail her, but we're above that. Besides, them are just rumors. We got no proof they're true.
협박?
I would never endorse such an untoward tactic, you know, but, well, there's rumors that Velma's taking a cut off the profits. So far, it's just gossip, you know, but if there was any proof to be had, it'd be in the Saltuna warehouse, I reckon.
여기도 참연어야? 참연어 공장이야 여기도? 오.
Could I get another advance, Mr. Nandi?
Just make sure it's properly logged.
I'll note it next to the
여기가
others.
시장이네.
Well, new business turns up at last. Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit?
That you did, sir.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
Often posed these very questions.
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me.
아주 후하시군요.
Celia, will you make a note of that for my self-review? Very generous.
Noted.
But not so generous I can't drive a good bargain. Now, who sent you? Rizzo's, perhaps? Or Auntie Cleo herself?
정보 브로커.
Hiram? Why, he's probably still out at Devil's Peak. Not that he's had the courtesy to notify me, at any rate. But if you're here for him, I suppose that means you aren't here for Saltuna.
양쪽 다일 수도 있잖아요.
Now, there's no need to humor me. I'm used to this particular letdown. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board.
2번.
Because he's scared to go it alone. You need the board to hold your hand and tell you everything's gonna be okay. Ain't that right?
Surviving alone isn't as easy as it looks. Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now. Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious.
즐기지 그래요?
You talk like Graham.
Can't imagine why you'd sneer at the notion of a free colony. Could it be because you're an agent of the establishment?
I used to be young and idealistic too, but you can't run a city on high-minded ideals.
Exactly. Intellectualism fuels the train to mankind's future. But the tracks the train runs on are forged from practicality.
Sounds like something out of the chairman's own notes, Vic.
Yes, it's as though the good vicar has plucked the very words from my brain.
그래서 어떻게 할 건데?
Well, Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
On our terms, mind you.
Returning to the board is your only chance if you hope to survive here on Monarch. That doesn't mean it'll be easily achievable.
Indeed not. No worthwhile plan was ever simple. That's what I always say.
목사가
And if our advertising
이성이랑
scheme
잘
hasn't borne
통하네.
fruit, then perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
It's true, our Celia is an alarmingly competent middle manager. At any other company, she'd be wasted in data entry. The plan she refers to is a two-pronged approach, and the first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended.
2번.
Not long, but the devil is always in the details. And the salient detail here is a Bolt 52 cartridge. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in Halcyon.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
1번.
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordinance.
I was starting to get bored listening to you until you said the phrase extremely powerful ordinance.
It is quite the rush.
다음에는?
I'll need to gather some supplemental materials, but I mustn't get ahead of myself.
You do tend to do that.
The Bolt 52 will be in the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. And these days, it's overrun with marauders and raptidons.
그럼 찾아올게.
Do be careful. I've lost more than a few people to marauders and raptidons out there. Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. What can I do? I see. And was his delivery of the MSI authorized greeting up to snuff?
잘하셨는데.
Well, that's excellent. I'll see that your feedback makes it into his review. What else can I do for you? Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes.
왜 쫓겨난 거야?
I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws.
1번.
Not intentionally, though that's technically true. For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2, but back then it was known as Terra 1.
다른 회사들은?
As you may have noticed, this planet has more than its share of hazards. And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out.
하지만 MS는 남았다.
Our leadership at the time certainly wanted to.
And how did that work out?
Most regard Monarch as a lost cause. But there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up.
아까 저 술집 2층에서 본 그런 사람들처럼 진보적이네.
It's humane, but it's also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms.
누군데?
Oh, well, there were surely other junior executives with more open minds, though none of them had the temperament to handle the paperwork.
누구 얘기야?
But I was keeping my tone flat and maintaining eye contact. You weren't supposed to notice I was avoiding the subject.
This is why you've never been good with presentations, sir.
Very well. Many, many years ago, Graham Bryant and I used to be collaborators of sorts.
그레이엄 브라이트?
Indeed. For all the good it
들어본
did.
것 같은데 저 이름?
MSI's then leadership wasn't enthusiastic. They insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2 along with everyone else. Yes, some of us stayed behind, and as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI. I moved forward with our planned reforms as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages.
왜 그러겠어?
I don't know. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws.
Your first mistake was expecting the board to cut you a fair deal.
I understand the sentiment, but if we can't rely on some sort of framework, then what do we have? I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently.
이 이사회가 기업들의 단체인가? 지금 이 MSI가 이사회에 합류하도록 도와주면은 근데 그 과학자 우리 도와준 아저씨는 이사회랑 싸우려고 하는 건데 지금 MSI를 이사회에 합류시키는 게 좋은 건지 나쁜 건지 모르겠어. 합류했을 때 우리를 도와주는 아군이 되는 건지 아니면은 오히려 적이 되는 건지. 왜 이 사회에 복귀하려는 거야?
Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon.
Yeah, and once you go back to him, they'll own your dignity too.
Without the board, chaos would overtake the system. Working within the established order isn't a principle to snub one's
역시
nose at,
이 사회
Captain.
편이야, 이 목사님은.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community. And being cut off means slow strangulation.
돌아갈 가치가 있어?
I'm not a man to put pride before progress. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then that's the path I mean to pursue.
이 사람
Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship.
이 사람 마음에 드는데 생각하는 게 수단?
Don't get ahead of yourself, sir.
Yes, it'll be easier to explain once we have the Bolt 52. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations. It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off any planet or location that it deems dangerous.
Sounds like the board gave themselves the power to arrest an entire planet.
They would say it's for the greater good.
데이? 그 무법자들 여자 대장이 데이 때문이라고 하는데 이 사회에서 나온 애들인가?
Yes, making all of MSI criminals in the board's eyes. Rather hard to run a business that way.
그래요.
As far as I'm concerned, the less said about Graham, the better. Graham seemed like a reasonable man years ago, and we both agreed that MSI's treatment of its workers was untenable. I thought reforms would be enough. I didn't realize you wanted to abolish the corporate system entirely.
Greetings, and welcome to Monarch Stellar Industries. What can I do for you today?
돈 문제가 있어?
Not at all. Mr. Nandi treats us all right and pays us well. I just spent most of my paycheck on Raptidon acid. Laws, no. Sometimes it's canine
뭐야?
teeth, or a mantis worm wings. Whatever Sebastian has in
수집
stock,
건가?
really. So I can talk to him, of course. He doesn't get going about much else.
세바스찬?
Sort of the strong, silent type. Unfortunately, my apartment's kind of filling up with his stuff. And some of the neighbors are complaining about the smell.
자기가 쓰는 게 아니구만.
I couldn't. What if he says no? Hey, maybe you could ask him for me. I mean, a no would still be bad, but it won't be quite as embarrassing if you ask. Oh, Mr. Nandi's doing that thing where he breathes through his nose real slowly. I'd better get back to work.
어떤 면이 좋아?
He doesn't talk much, but he's got this quiet intensity, you know? Like there's stuff going on inside his head that you have no idea about.
콩깍지가
Plus, he's
꼈구만.
got great legs. It's hard to find a man who doesn't skimp on lower body exercises. You think that's what I'm looking for? You're funny. Sorry, sometimes I get carried away.
Fresh blood at last. Stellar Bay could use
저걸
some.
신선한 피로 직역하는 건 좀
Watch your step if you venture outside the walls.
여기 괜찮은 동네인 것 같기도 하고. 어디 보자.
Velma seem out of sorts to you?
She's always cranky.
No, I mean, more than usual.
Wouldn't know. I made it a point to stay out of her way.
벨마가 여기 있나 보네.
Look, you can tell Catherine the new shipment will be ready when it's ready, all right? She's welcome to come up here and pack boxes herself if she's in such a hurry.
무슨 말이야?
Sorry. Seems I got my cables crossed. Thought you were another shakedown tough from Fallbrook. Hope you can forgive my temper. This job has been running me ragged lately. First, my autoloader foreman stages a walkout, and now my chief pescatological health manager is missing.
무슨 죄?
Braxton. He's in charge of getting the fish fat, but also making sure they don't get too many tumors. He's a real wizard with pharmaceuticals, but he has creative notions of working hours. Comes with living in a free colony, I guess.
규정이 있지 않나?
We're not keen on rules for rules' sake around here. Means Braxton skips work sometimes, but it also means no company boss is telling me when I can take a shit.
These MSI types are living the dream.
Since you don't seem to be constrained yourself, maybe you could check up on him. He lives in the apartments. Tell him Velma said to get his lazy ass down here, or she might start noticing those extra drugs he's been taking from supply.
약을 훔치고 있었다고?
Stealing's such a nasty word. Let's call it skimming. And yeah, let's just say I've noticed the sterile biotics we use for the fish would get used a little faster on Braxton's shifts.
동료를 아끼는구만.
We're not like those corporate towns where you get fined for sleeping on the wrong side of the bed. Besides, the Spacer's Choice stuff we use is cheap enough. And Braxton knows how to get the Saltuna, fat and mostly tumor-free.
개설이는 누군데?
Sublight boss out of Fallbrook. Handles most goods that come in or out of Stellar Bay. Has a mouth like a ground six spacer.
케일럽.
Unless you're here to tell me he's agreed to do his job again, I've got nothing to say.
2번.
Tell him to complain to Catherine in Fallbrook, not me. Sublight's demanding more money for the same contracts, which means we're all in the same boat. I don't have the bits for it, plain and simple. Besides, if I make an exception for him, I gotta do the same for everyone.
She's principled, in at least this area. I will begrudgingly give her that.
Thank you. I think. If Caleb wants to keep this job, he'd better get back to it. I'm about ready to hire sublight contractors at this rate.
협상을 해볼 생각은?
For running me ragged while he takes an extended leave at the bar? Not on your life.
오케이. 다른 얘기를 하자.
Fine by me.
이 사람이 둘 중에 비교하자면 벨마가 좀 마음에 드는데. 쟤를 설득할 수가 있나?
Hello, dearie. Why, I don't believe I've seen you before. And with sweet cheeks like those, I'd remember. What can Auntie Abigail do for you?
좀 소름 끼치는 분인데. 2번. 아니다. 돌아가서 엘리를 데려가야지, 엘리를. 여기 맵 넓네?
Captain, Felix and the vicar are arguing again.
에잉? 말싸움을 하고 있다고?
Since when? Since the Rangers decided their 8th back should stay in the Wednesday zone. Come on,
이
the Rangers
스포츠
blew
광.
that game.
Were we listening to the same game? The Rangers were robbed. The Hammers had the judges in their pocket.
Teams that play poorly deserve to lose. That's a fundamental law of the universe.
Don't bring religion into this, Printer.
The Rangers handily snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. If you can't see that, let's just agree to disagree.
I disagree. Also, get spaced. if I got my own bunk.
I find myself marveling.
야.
Something.
아, 이 동료들 마음에 드네. 일단 의학을 엘리를 들어가면 되겠다.